with an update on Sasha Banks' heat in WWE and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for May 27th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. During an interview with Forbes, former AEW Women's Champion Britt Baker was asked about not currently being involved in the title picture, to which she said, "We have so many talented women that I can take a step back. I got to sit back and watch everyone else have their moment and watch everyone else rise. Sometimes you're going to be up, sometimes you're going to be the focus, sometimes you're not. It's somebody else's turn and that's okay. I'm obviously in the mix for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament, and that's something that I think is really special and really cool. I want to have a really big role in that. And I would love to be the first female to win that tournament." Baker would also address those online that would tell her to end her life after she beat her opponents in matches. I think people just go on Twitter just to be heard in a negative way. They just want to say something nasty and hateful and mean, so they will go onto Twitter for literally no other reason, and they just say it and make sure they tag you in it too. We've had people in the industry kill themselves over cyberbullying, and you'd think that would be enough for people to wake up. Keep your mean thoughts to yourself. You know, the body shaming and telling me I should go kill myself because I beat so-and-so in a match, it's just really horrible and toxic. With him previously requesting his release from WWE on Twitter, it came as a surprise to see Mustafa Ali back on programming. On After the Bell, Ali noted that he did not regret airing his grievances publicly. So anyone that truly knows me, and I know there's a portion of the audience that was like, how unprofessional, but anyone that's ever worked with me or dealt with me as a human being knows how much I love this place, how much I love sports entertainment, and how much I love wrestling. This is the only thing I ever want to do. For me to even get to that point, that's the issue. Everyone's judging the action. They're not judging the intention behind the action. Corey, you know me. Imagine how much it would take for me to try to leave. So I think that's the conversation. That's the hot topic. There are situations that I can't publicly discuss, but that's what I would want to say about that whole issue. The only reason it got to that point was because there was no other option. It's incredible the things you'll do when your back is against the wall and you're fighting for survival. I wouldn't have done something else unless I believed in it. I still stand by that choice. I did what I had to do. When it comes to Stephanie McMahon taking a leave of absence from WWE, Wade Keller of PW Torch had this to say about it over the weekend. "The indications that I've gotten is this is largely her just stepping away. She has worked for WWE for over 20 years. Shane McMahon has been in and out. She's the child of Vince McMahon, who has been the most embedded in this company, most recently the chief brand officer. I've been told not to expect the reasons that Stephanie is stepping away to come out, but the implication is there are reasons. So this isn't going to be a public scandal, but it's something. That's about as much as I think I can say right now, based on the indications I've gotten from talking to people who know or know Stephanie and Hunter or know people who know them, and yet they're giving me indication of things." Speaking of executive positions in WWE, it seems a Hall of Famer will have a new role within the company. As PW Insider revealed, Jeff Jarrett will be working on the live event side of WWE's business in a high-level executive position. One source described it as Jarrett taking over live events. We are told Jarrett will officially begin his duties next week. Given the WWE Women's Tag Team titles are vacant, a tournament will be made to determine new champions, as the Wrestling Observer has an update on plans. Regarding the Tag Team titles, there will be a tournament. There have been different pitches made. At least two involved a 4-team tournament. In one, the 4 teams are Natalya and Shayna Baszler, Tamina and Dana Brooke, Nikki ASH and Doudrop, and Carmella and Zelina, even though they already broke up. Except for Natalya and Baszler, there was no other team being used regularly, although ASH and Doudrop did do a television loss to Banks and Naomi 2 weeks ago. Natalya and Baszler were losing to Banks and Naomi at house shows and at a television tag title match a few weeks ago on SmackDown. With her not seen on WWE TV much since last month, PW Insider has reported the reason for Zelina Vega's absence, writing, WWE's Queen Zelina Vega disappearing off television. We've confirmed Vega has been out of the ring following an in-ring injury that required surgery. The belief among those we've spoken to is that she'll likely be out of action another 6 to 8 weeks, which means she'd be available to return around SummerSlam. There has been talk about her receiving a push upon her return, as sources have noted her willingness to do what was requested of her, and her hard work has been noticed behind the scenes. When asked on his podcast about John Cena becoming a 17-time world champion in WWE and breaking Ric Flair's record of 16 title reigns, Kurt Angle said he can see the leader of the C Nation achieving this feat. The answer is simple, yes. Yes, he will break Ric Flair's record. I genuinely believe that John Cena will be the only 17-time world champion. I do believe Randy Orton is going to catch up to him and possibly surpass him. So I know that records are made to be broken, and I believe John Cena is going to break Ric Flair's record. While many were impressed by the caliber of performance Bad Bunny put on in WWE as a celebrity, former WWE writer Vince Russo told NBC Sports Boston that the company was not able to bring in new fans to see Bunny. They don't because you don't hook them. That's why they don't stay around. Using Bad Bunny and all that stuff is a great business ploy if you hook those extra viewers when they tune in, but they never do. After WrestleMania, you're going to get a huge audience, and we would do everything to grab that audience. These were potential new viewers. It wasn't a one and done. For the last 20 years, you could look at the huge numbers Monday. After WrestleMania, the following week they're right back where they started. Prior to joining AEW, William Regal was a part of WWE, helping to bring in talent. Alex McCarthy of TalkSport revealed who he was planning to sign while still part of WWE, writing, William Regal told me he was planning to sign Daniel Garcia, Ricky Starks, and Wheeler Yuta to NXT before WWE changed directive. On Busted Open Radio, MLW owner Court Bauer revealed a huge addition to the promotion, saying, we've just signed Lance Anoa'i. Lance is the son of Samu, the cousin of The Rock, cousin of Roman Reigns, and he's a third-generation wrestler. Grandfather's Afa Anoa'i, and he's part of our new era of the Samoan SWAT team with Fatu and Big Juicy. With them previously getting into it online over CM Punk claiming casual fans don't exist in pro wrestling, Eric Bischoff has taken to his 83 Weeks podcast to call out Punk for his promo in AEW where he took shots at Hulk Hogan. A lot of the comments I made, the shots I took at CM Punk, is just because I think he is an outright disrespectful guy. If you're going to go get yourself over, go out and get yourself over. But if you're going to go out and, for example, in his very first promo, first thing you do is go out and talk about what a piece of Hulk Hogan is. Well, guess what? CM Punk clearly has no idea about Hulk Hogan. How does he know that? He does not know a thing. If CM Punk would have worked with Hulk Hogan or knew Hulk Hogan and he had that opinion, that's his opinion. But if you don't even know somebody and you're going to go out there and try to get yourself over in your very first interview by burying somebody who has contributed so much to this business and is probably partly responsible for you even having the opportunity that you have to talk your shit, I find that to be disrespectful. Sticking with CM Punk, he would tell Mark Raimondi on ESPN that he feels like he is in his prime in AEW. I feel like he was kind of wasted. What old head you're gonna make mad for no reason? It could have been so much more. It should have been so much more. And now, this is everything a dream pro wrestling could and should be. And I'm here and I'm in the moment. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not worried about what happened yesterday. I'm living in the moment and I'm 100% in my prime, best I've ever been. Following their walkout on Raw, Sasha Banks and Naomi are suspended indefinitely from WWE, as Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter said that Banks has heat with people backstage that tend to be anti-management. There is a lot of locker room conjecture and talk about Banks and Naomi, largely with Banks being portrayed negatively, as Naomi supporting a friend but not being the catalyst of it. Even those who would normally not be pro-management were not anti-management in this case. The terms of their suspension would also be noted, and a reason was given for why their merchandise was pulled from WWE shop. The suspension was inevitable. As far as pulling the merchandise, that was done according to people close to the situation to send a message to the locker room. The suspension is without pay. In addition, the company pulled all of their merchandise from its website, meaning they would not get any new merchandise revenue. There was merchandise for both women available at the live shows over the weekend because that stuff is prepared ahead of time. Former women's champion Michelle McCool spoke on the Wives of Wrestling podcast about being married to The Undertaker, recalling a time where a prank turned into her being questioned over killing her husband. "I had 3 cops follow me in the neighborhood one time because a 911 call said that I'd killed my husband with a sledgehammer. Ironically enough, it was the WrestleMania after he wrestled Triple H. Yes, I was sitting there talking, and I'm like one of those people, if I'm telling the truth, I feel guilty. Like I feel like I'm lying if I'm in a pressure situation. I'm coming through the neighborhood, guarded gates, and I'm talking to a girlfriend and I was like, dang, there's a cop behind me, but I wasn't speeding. So I pulled into the house, I'm like, crap, there's 3 cops. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, ma'am, is your husband home? Yeah, can you tell me what's going on? They're like, no, we just need to make sure your husband's home. I'm like, what is going on? As we're walking into the garage, my heart's pounding. I'm thinking the worst, obviously. So I go into the garage and I kid you not, he's coming out of a shower in the furthest place in the house. I'm just yelling at him, babe, babe, babe. We finally get to the back of the house. He walks out in his towel. There's 3 cops behind me and he's like, what is going on? They finally told him. Someone called 911 and said I had killed him with a sledgehammer. They even let us listen to the call. I'm like, people. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.